Hello and welcome back. Let us start understanding statistics. There are two kinds of statistics, descriptive and inferential. Before we understand statistics, let us try to understand what is population and sample. If you are trying to analyze data of the voters in a country, then all the people who have got voting capability or the power to vote or right to vote are called as are called as population. If you take the voters in a particular city or a village, that's called as sample. So a subset of the total data is called as sample. So let us start understanding the different kinds of statistics now, descriptive and inferential. So if you want to understand the total data sets behavior with one number or two numbers, those one number or two numbers are called as descriptive statistics. So mean is one example of statistic and variance is another example of statistic. So if you take a mean of a particular data set, it may be able to explain the behavior of the given data set. So descriptive statistics are the numbers, maybe one or two, which will explain data in a nutshell. If you take inferential statistics, if you want to understand a population's behavior by looking at samples, then we call that as inferential statistical technique. So generally in exit polls, the exit poll companies, the statistical companies will not go and take the you know opinion from all the people in the country. They actually choose some samples from villages or towns and different castes and creeds and try to understand population's behavior by looking at those samples. That is an inferential statistical technique. So let us start understanding descriptive statistics first, and then we'll jump into inferential statistics. So in descriptive statistics, central tendency is one measure which actually tries to explain data with one number. So central tendency, there are three kinds of central tendencies: mean, median, and mode. So mean is the average of all the numbers which are present in the population or sample. Mode is the most repeated number in the sample or population. Median is the middle number of the population or sample. Let us start looking at this data. We have five numbers here: 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. If you want to calculate mean of it, we need to sum all of it and divide by total number of data points. That's equal to 20. Mode. In this particular data set, we have 3 repeated for 5 times and 100 is only one time. If you try to look at the probability of 3, it is 5 by 6. If the probability of 100 is 1 by 6. You can represent your data with 3 because most of the data is having 3. And median, when to take median of a data set, first we need to sort the data in ascending order, and then we need to take the middle number. The 20 is the median there. So that's how you calculate central tendency of a data. But why do we need three measures of central tendency? Let us take one example and try to understand. So here I have taken 10 students' marks. In one case I have taken mean to represent the data. In another case I have taken mode to represent the data. In another case I have taken median to represent the data. Why? Because in the first case the data is very close. If you look at the data, the minimum number is 57 and the maximum number is 67. The total data is spread between 57 and 67. If you take a mean, it is actually giving you 60. That's actually appropriately representing the data. If 10 students belong to a class and the class master, the teacher in the class, need to explain to the headmaster or the principal about the behavior or the score they are getting on an average, he can take mean and represent it. On an average the students are performing at 60 marks out of 100. So this central tendency mean is appropriate in this case. When data is, the spread is less and the data is close, then you can take mean and represent that. Using the central tendency mean, you can actually represent the data. In the second case, the data is spread across, but there are 50s. out of 10 students, 4 people have got 50. So I can take mode here and represent the data. Depending on the data, you need to take the central tendency measure. So to explain the data, right, in this particular class, for the 10 students, 50 is kind of average mark, we can say, even though it's not mean, right? Mode you can take and then explain the data with that number, because most of the people are getting 50. So in this particular case, mode is the appropriate central tendency measure which will explain the data in an appropriate way. So the third case, the data is altogether spread across. It started with 3 and the maximum number is 70. So in this case, either mean or mode may not actually represent the data. We may have to sort the data in ascending order and take the median. In this case, there are 10 numbers. There are 2 middle numbers. So we have to take an average of these 2 numbers and say, take that as the representative of the data. So on an average, the students are getting 22 marks, you can say, in this case. That may not be appropriate, but that's the only way we can actually take a central tendency measure for this kind of data set. So in this second case and third case, if I calculate mean, one case it is getting 30, it is neither representing 50 or these small numbers. In another case, it is actually giving 31, it is neither representing 3 or 70. So in the second case and third case, mode and median are the most appropriate values to represent the data, or more appropriate statistics to explain the data. So the central tendency we are going to use to explain the data with one number. Here we have got only 10 numbers. Maybe it is okay even if you don't take mean, median, mode. If you want to understand all the students present in a country, the behavior or the the way the students are studying in a particular subject, then you need statistical measures. So that's about the basic statistics, different types of statistics, and central tendency.